All right, my friend.
Here we are.
Do you want to talk about Goldfinger? You don't have a
Yeah,
choice.
yeah, I would love to.
This is Rekindling Our Bonds, a James Bond movie watch podcast where my old friend from high school, Daniel, and I rekindle the bonds of our friendship by watching each of the James Bond movies in chronological order and discussing them at great length. Hope you enjoy.
Yeah, first of all, hey, what's up, man?
Nothing much, dude.
Great to see you again. It's been a while since we've done one of these.
Yeah, and since we've seen each other in person too.
True. Several years.
Yeah, I think From Russia with Love was, I don't even know, number of months ago for sure. At least
Damn.
like 2 months ago, 3 months ago. I don't know.
It's probably been about that since it's probably been about a month since I've watched this one.
Yeah, I think me too. I've actually watched it twice since then.
Have you? I thought about doing that, but I didn't.
Well, the first time was on accident. It was right when we were about to do, or we had just done, I think, From Russia with Love. They had it at the Hollywood Theater. I think we might have talked about it just briefly in From Russia with Love, and then I was like, I need to watch it with like my notes and stuff to actually make it make sense for this. So I watched it again.
Nice. According to my notes, the last movie that I watched right before watching Bond was The Three Musketeers Part 1,
There you
D'Artagnan.
go. Nice. We were just talking about that.
Yeah, how wild is that?
That's pretty funny. It's definitely on your mind.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, do you like my big book?
It's beautiful. I was
Awesome
holding
enough.
off on asking you about it so we could talk about it during this.
Yeah. It's the James Bond archives. It's the Toshin book. They do I think they've done Star Wars and a number of other things, but just really big, beautiful pictures. And what I've been doing is on the ones that we've talked about, I'm putting my notes in on the first page of each one.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's been great.
Oh,
So
look at all those notes.
super cute.
I write my notes in these little notebooks that I carry with me in my day-to-day life because I've stopped trusting my own memory. S- so my notes fill the last part of one book and the first third of another book.
So you stop trusting your own memory. Does that mean there's like directions on how to get home from where you're at and who you are and your loved ones are in there?
Those are tattooed directly on my
Okay.
body.
All right. Yeah.
Places unmentionable.
So we have like 10 minutes before you forget what's going on, is what you're saying?
Hey man, how's it going?
Nice.
Sick book.
Yeah, thanks. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, sweet. Goldfinger or
Yes.
Goldfinger, AH as my notes are titled.
That's a misspelling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, can you fix that,
I'll
please?
work on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just get into the basics of Goldfinger and we can get going.
Mhm.
Goldfinger, 1964. I brought my book with me, so I have a synopsis here.
Beautiful.
James Bond is assigned to investigate one of the wealthiest men in the world, Auric Goldfinger, who is suspected of smuggling England's gold reserves. Goldfinger's greed is exceeded only by his disrespect for human life. When his secretary Jill sleeps with Bond after Bond catches him cheating at cards, Goldfinger has her killed by smothering her with gold paint. The dead girl's sister is also killed when she follows Goldfinger to Switzerland and attempts revenge. Bond is captured by Goldfinger's huge manservant. Odd job. Huge is an interesting word.
Yeah.
And almost killed by a deadly laser beam. Drugged, he finds himself on Goldfinger's private jet being flown to America by Pussy Galore.
Yes.
Bond wins over Pussy, and she helps thwart Goldfinger's plot to rob Fort Knox. September 17th, 1964 is the release. Stars Sean Connery, Honor Blackman, and Gert Frobe.
Nice.
So, Goldfinger, I'm curious do you have is this on your radar at all? Like, do you have any idea about Goldfinger? Anything? Thoughts, feelings?
I'm gonna have to dissect that into. Do you want me to throw out my general feeling up front?
Sure.
It's my favorite so far.
Cool.
Yeah, it's probably the most well-rounded of the ones we've watched, for my general interest. Um, I do vaguely remember hearing about the painted women or the painted woman, and I think that was, like, somehow dangerous to that woman's health, or I might be construing that with the, Tin Man or some other painted people in movies.
That's funny. I didn't even think about the Tin Man. I think his is like asbestos paint or something is the problem. So
Oh, that's probably the case.
yeah, but I
And
think. Go
Odd
ahead.
Job in the GoldenEye video game
Hmm.
is tiny for some reason. Why'd they do that?
I think he is like he's not. He's huge in like a barrel-chested way, but he's like short. You know,
He's not a non-average sized human.
that is a good point.
He's like in the game, he is literally a
Yeah,
little person.
he's the only one that's like a different height. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the only one with a different hitbox. You have to like crouch to be the same size.
Yeah, that's interesting. Couldn't you also pull his hat out? Wasn't that like he had that weapon on him at all times?
I don't think so. That'd be really
Oh,
cool if they did that though.
for some reason that sticks out in my mind too. But yeah, I don't know why they made him short. Now that you mentioned that,
It's like an interesting choice. Maybe they wanted to do that to one character and they just chose that character. Like, hey, why not Odd Job?
there is a villain or like a henchman in Man with a Golden Gun who is Hervé Villachez.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Fantasy Island.
Yes. So his name is Knick Knack, and he is obviously diminutive. That would have made sense if they were including him in the game, and then we're like, make it somebody else. But it's all
Yeah.
speculation.
Maybe they were planning on doing that. They built the character model, rigged it, and then Hervé Villachez like passed away, and they thought, this might be insensitive, so they just like pivoted directly to Odd Job.
Interesting. Yeah.
This is just pure speculation.
We don't want you to be able to kill Hervé because he
Yeah.
just died. Yeah, that's interesting. That'd been cool if
Oh,
Knick Knack was in there. That'd been awesome.
yeah. Maybe they'll do a DLC for that
Yeah, there's
N64.
still hope. Yeah.
So I have some questions about Goldfinger.
Yeah.
Jumping right in. First Bond theme.
Yeah. So okay. So this movie, it's like placed in the Bond pantheon is people think it's like maybe the best one. Like people
Whoa.
put it like way at the top.
I get it.
And it is. I think it's because it is that first one where it's like, okay, everything's here. This is exactly what the rest of the Bond movies are going to be. There's a bad guy, there's Bond, there's like the pre-credit sequence, there's a theme song, and then yeah, you get to see Bond thwart like a villain's plans or whatever.
Yes, and there is a galore of pussy.
Yeah, there's a character named Pussy Galore, which is awesome. I think that's
Yes.
pretty amazing for 1964.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's British, so there are lots of cats.
Yeah. Pushy. Yeah. I think her intro's awesome. Yeah, so good. His little bit of, I must be dreaming.
Yes.
Yeah, so good. So yeah, it's where all the pieces are put together. I think it's also you could also look at it as the most overplayed because it is kind of like the big one. I think anytime they're showing a Bond movie at a theater, it's gonna be this one. I think like Mandy and I have seen this one in the theater before as well. 21st Street, I think. Tiny little theater, but like this one brings people out. People love this one. I think it's okay. Like it's by the book, It's like straight down the middle.
Yep.
I also have a hard time when people tell me something's the best. I'm
Yep.
kind of a
Yep.
you could say hipster.
No, I struggle with that as well.
Yeah, I want one that's like mine.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it was. Remember when we went and saw The Great Silence,
Uh-huh.
and there was a theater full of our people.
Yeah.
A theater full of people who understood spaghetti westerns, and
Yeah.
the guys behind us were asked. We were talking to them, and they asked us, "What's your favorite spaghetti western?" And I said, "I think The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly."
Yeah.
Honestly, and then the three of you were like, "That's too easy." And I was like,
It's hard to
yeah,
argue with, though.
to some extent, although it is the best, I think it is honestly structurally the best spaghetti western. But amongst those, you could have your favorites for sure. In
Sure.
fact, I think I might be able to argue based on mood that sometimes it's good, bad, sometimes it's Kaoma, sometimes it's Sabata. Um, Great Silence. But is it kind of like that? Like people say Goldfinger's the best. And you're like, I guess, but check out all these other ones that are more niche.
Sure. I mean, I would not. I think part of best is like, are you going to show somebody one of these movies from this genre and have it just they get it, they understand the whole thing?
Yeah.
And I think Good, Bad, the Ugly is definitely that one.
Sure.
I think. I mean, you could give them. I think Fistful of Dollars would probably be good too. But I think Goldfinger. If you're like old Bond, what is it like? You're gonna have a hard time doing better than Goldfinger. I like to show people Doctor No, but it is way slower and there's a lot less going on. But yeah, I mean it's Goldfinger's good. I say in this day and age, like Casino Royale is so good. Like as a whole movie, it doesn't necessarily do like the old kitschy stuff as much. It's a little bit more serious, but like as a movie, that thing is awesome.
Well, I'll tell you, this of the movies we've watched thus far, this is the first one that I've considered. I would suggest this to my younger movie friends at work.
Nice, yeah. I think it is a good here's the package of what James Bond is like, and also it's a movie that has a beginning, middle, and end that makes sense, and there's not anything super weird or whatever. Like Russia's good, but it definitely slows down in parts, and it's not as satisfying an ending, I think, as Goldfinger.
No, there's some cool shit, like the helicopter chase and the boat chase were pretty cool.
Oh, you see, the boat chase I always forget about. I think that's such a bland ending. I think it's cool, but like maybe as like a middle of the movie kind of action sequence.
Yeah, it's nothing like how
Yeah.
this one ends at Fort Knox.
Yeah, or in the plane, or and the
Yeah,
villain's not.
man. The plane.
Yeah.
Oh,
The villain's not as memorable as Auric. I think Auric's super memorable.
yes.
Gert
Yeah.
Frobe is awesome, and it's not his voice the entire time. It's somebody else.
Who is it?
I don't remember. But basically, Gert's agent said, "Yeah, he speaks English fine. That's good." And they got out there and like, no one understands this guy, so they like humored him, let him do the lines, and then just did a voiceover.
It's like the guy who was wearing the Darth Vader suit.
Yeah,
He was doing all the lines on set, and he
with
thought he
his
was going to
Welsh
be
accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, Darth Vader's got a really funny accent. Yeah, yeah. I think the Bond franchise does that a lot. Like Ursula Andress in the first one, they had somebody else talking for her the whole time too.
Really?
I don't know who it was, but she has a really strong accent too. I can't remember where she's from, Eastern Europe or something. But yeah, classic '60s stuff. I mean, they may not have even told them that was happening because it's that it's that era.
Yeah. Do you want me to start running through some highlights of?
Sure. So yeah, we can start. I'm very curious. Like the very first thing that happens is Sean Connery comes up and he's got a duck on his head.
That set the tone. As soon as that happened, I thought, okay, they finally get it.
Oh man, that's
Like,
funny.
It's self-aware enough to be hilarious, and this is probably where you and I differ, because I don't have any reverence for this character whatsoever. And so my reverence for this, my interest in this as a franchise is because I want camp where camp meets cool. That's almost exclusively my favorite aesthetic, is where camp meets cool. And this was exactly that. A fake duck that you're following in the water, and then it lifts up and is Sean Connery wearing a stupid fake duck helmet. Hell yeah.
Here's the coolest guy who's ever lived. Here's like the dumbest intro of all.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think, for sure. This is definitely these sort of three movies are definitely like a good mix of camp and cool. And then I think we're in for a lot more camp coming up.
Yeah.
But this is where it's a good balance, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree.
So he comes out in his dive suit because
Yep.
he's going to plant some explosives on within a secret door, I think, of this tank, this chemical tank.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I know he was sabotaging those tanks, but I don't know why there was a secret door and a little room for him. But then he peels off the dive suit and he's got the tux. The only time I remember seeing that is there's a very striking image in the James Cameron film True Lies,
Okay.
in which Arnold Schwarzenegger cuts his way out of. The movie opens with him underwater and he cuts his way out of the frozen lake. And then he peels off his dive suit and he's wearing this white tuxedo.
That's cool. I've never seen True Lies.
Oh, I think we should watch that. It's really
I've
fun.
had it recommended a bunch of times, and James Cameron, sure, yeah. Prime
it's
James Cameron time.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's great. It's really fun.
That's
and
cool.
there was a bit of a sexual awakening for me with a specific scene with Jamie Lee Curtis.
I was gonna say Arnold.
With a specific scene with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
Tom Arnold.
Oh, that's right, Tom Arnold. Big Tom Arnold head.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Classic.
It's cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. So yeah, I mean, we have it's like the first time we have like a mission that has nothing to do with anything that's happening at the beginning. You kind of just get to be like, oh, yep, Bond's off doing something. I don't know if we've talked about this, but I think action movies and musicals should have a very similar pace. Right off the bat, we should have an action sequence. Right off the bat, you should have your first song establishing like what's happening, you know?
Yeah.
I think the pace of this is perfect. Get them out there. It doesn't matter what's happening. Just have some kind of sequence that's going on, you know?
Definitely.
So, yeah, I like this opening. I think the duck is hilarious. Yeah.
Then he after that he goes to a pub. He meets with a contact and then goes to his hotel room with the dancer.
Yep.
I think, and then he's like holding her closely in only a way that Bond can, and in her eyes he sees a reflection of a man approaching from behind.
I love that.
And he like he wallops the lady and then throws a guy into a bathtub. And he swats something into the tub that shocks him.
It's like a heating fan or something. Like has a heat coil and then a
Yes.
Yeah.
And then that's when after that he probably has some pithy thing to say, and then the Goldfinger.
What do you think he
Goldfinger
says
thing,
if he's electrocuting the guy?
He probably says something like, "So shocking to see you."
He does. He says shocking.
Oh yes, you're my number one fan.
Yeah, there you go. There's another option. Yeah, I like that little bit. Nice frenetic action. I think the guy, just a fun fact, the guy who like attacks him, I think they're supposed to be in Mexico or something, and it's a British stuntman, and they're like, let's find who's the most Mexican looking.
Oh jeez.
This guy's got blue eyes.
Sweet.
He's like, I had the most Mexican cheekbones, so they picked me.
He said that?
Yeah, and like interviews and stuff afterwards. Yeah, very interesting.
My cheekbones are hardly Mexican.
Close enough for the Bond franchise, I guess.
And then the theme, the opening, really plays into an aesthetic that I appreciate, which is like projected text. It's projected text over, I think, the gold painted bodies of women.
Yeah, with like little clips from the movie over it.
Yeah, very appealing to me. I love the practical projection of those colors and all that. It was like, I don't know, vaguely sensual.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's just like typical kind of what you think of when you think of Bond opening credits, like women's bodies and stuff kind of projected on there. This is like the definitive. I think For Much With Love is the same thing. It's like people dancing, little belly dancers or whatever, and they've got. I think it's also cool.
Same.
It just doesn't have the theme song over it, which is a little weird. But yeah, the timing of this one's great. He slams the door, and then the trumpets like blast in, and Shirley Bassey comes in, and there's like clips from the movie, which a lot of stuff does. Like the Mission Impossible movies have been doing in their opening credits, where it's like, here's clips from what's going to happen, but it does a good job of not spoiling anything for you. You have no idea. You're just like, oh, there's a car in this movie, and there's probably golf.
Sweet.
And then the music's great. It's a good song. Very aggressive horns, but it's great. Yeah,
it is a horny song.
It's a very horny song. And Shirley Bassey, who sings, is going to come back a couple more times.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Sweet.
Kind of like the main theme singer. I think she did 3, which is with like 25 movies or whatever is not a lot, but that's pretty good. Kind of defines the style of it, you know?
Yeah. Does she sneak in a bunch of like, he loves gold? Most of
the other ones? No. No. But they are also like innuendo songs.
Sweet.
At least Diamonds Are Forever is. Moonraker. It's hard to tell what that song's about, but all good.
Goldfinger is hardly an innuendo song. Like some of the lyrics are, he loves his gold.
Yeah.
Goldfinger. He loves gold.
His finger is cold. Yeah.
Oh.
Some interesting lyrics.
Okay, maybe there is.
But yeah, good opening credits. I think a good song.
It goes to Miami.
And then we go to Miami. We meet Auric, who I think is great, and his name is great. AU, Auric for gold. You know,
Oh, damn.
because we're here with headphones on, and in real life, I heard that in stereo. That was nice. Oh,
I didn't put that together. I'm not constantly thinking of the periodic table of elements like you are, Doug.
yeah, that's where you're wrong.
Yeah.
They make up everything around us, man. So yeah, Goldfinger, we get to Miami, perfectly synchronized dive shot. And then does it go straight to oh, what's her name? Oh, it's
Dink?
Dink. Yeah, Dink
Yeah.
is there. Yep.
The
This
dink
is
massage?
yeah, an interesting moment in the Bond franchise.
Yeah.
I think so. I saw it in the theater twice, and that part just gets a real good laugh every time.
Every time?
Yeah, for
Good.
both times. Yeah.
From everyone?
Yeah, everybody thinks
Good.
it's pretty funny. I think most people know what they're getting into when they're going to a '60s
Yeah.
Bond movie.
Yeah.
There's going to be some shenanigans.
There's nothing that's like the most explicit expression of like the Bond legacy of misogynism.
Sure. Yeah,
And honestly, it's like
it's
it's
pretty
dated,
harmless.
but it's kind of harmless. It's like it's more funny than anything.
I think so now. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
you want to explain what it is?
so her is it Felix talking to him? I think somebody,
Yes.
his contact or
Yes.
something. He's hanging out with a lady named Dink, and she's giving him a massage. And then Felix goes to talk to him about the mission or something. He turns her around, swats her on the butt, and says, "Man talk" or something like that,
Yeah.
and sends her on the way. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I think there's two parts in this movie that are pretty close together that like super super date it, other than just the way it looks and moves.
Sure.
But that's one of them, and then the Beatles comment in a little bit is another one.
We'll have to get to that. I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
if I recall that one because
It's
then it
soon.
goes to the card game
Yep.
with Auric and whomever it is he's playing against, some character.
Yeah, which this is a trope that comes up in the movies and the books that I like a lot, which is we got this guy, he's playing cards a lot, and there's something off about him. And you're a best card player, go figure it out, Like this guy's either like cheating and we gotta figure something out about him or whatever. Like I like that a lot of like, here's a secret agent and he's gonna go figure out some card thing. Like figure out who's cheating at cards. It's a big mission,
Yeah. That's
But I
one
like
of the
that.
things up on his resume is cards.
Yeah, very good at cards. Can kill people. Can pilot a plane, a boat. Really good at poker. But yeah, I love that plot. The go investigate this card person. And then we see Jill Masterson.
She's the
Who,
one in the hotel room cheating for Auric.
yes, she's the one up on the balcony, which I would say she is a mighty fine '60s babe.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. Check mark. Okay.
Yeah. She's a master son.
Yes. But yeah, I like her a lot. I think she's a good character. She's only in there for a little bit, but very memorable.
Yes.
She's the one that gets painted in gold as well. Oh, and I guess we were talking about the paint, but yeah, there's a Mythbusters where they did that, and they're like, oh, that's not really a thing.
Okay.
Your skin can breathe through paint, but
Good.
just a fun rumor from the day, I think.
So to get into that hotel room, James Bond, he I think recognizes from a distance that there's some chicanery going on. He sees maybe the glint of the telescope or something, and then he goes into the hotel and takes a key from the maid. He's just like,
Mhm.
I'm borrowing this. And she
Yeah.
goes, oh, and then he enters some stranger's room by taking a maid's key. You think he would like try and be a little less high profile about that? Directly taking a key.
He doesn't even take it; it's attached to her.
Oh
He
yeah.
like pulls her over and puts it in the door, and then she's just kind of probably the same thing. Like man talks her away,
Yeah.
and it works.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
he comes
interesting.
in, sees Jill Masterson. It's Jill Masterson, right?
Jill, yep.
On laying across about like a Shea lounge, looking through binoculars and cheating for Auric. And then he kind of takes over the microphone and speaks to Auric and says something like, he tells Goldfinger over the radio that he wants him to lose 15 grand or something.
Oh, yep. Rather than like expose his little thing, and Orc doesn't like that, and he breaks his pencil. Yeah.
And then, but she seems okay with it. She's like, I guess you and me. And so then they kiss and bone. And
Yep.
then,
I think it's the same message they're giving with the lady in the hallway, the maid, and her. That's just, this guy's so charming. Doesn't even matter. He can do whatever he wants.
yeah,
Everybody's just, yeah, this is fun.
they're
You
just
know?
putting in his hands.
Yeah, exactly.
And with her, she's like already involved in illicit activity. Like, what's like, just keep moving with the flow.
Yeah.
Well, what's this guy all about?
Oh, he wants to make out? Cool. This is a good day.
He's
Yeah.
better looking than Auric.
Yes, he is. Oh, I think there's that line too that always sticks out to me where she's like, and paid to be seen with him. And he's like, just seen? She's like, yes. Okay, cool. We just had to make sure that you weren't doing anything weird.
Then it's like he wakes up later and he's wearing a robe and he's getting ice out of the fridge.
Yeah,
and
and this
somebody
is where the
just karate
Beatles thing
chopped him.
happens. Yeah. I think Dom Perrier 53, warmer than room temperature, is like listening to the Beatles without earmuffs on, I think is the line.
Without earmuffs, like headsets.
Without earmuffs on, like blocking the sound, I think is the idea. Because Cubby Broccoli hated the Beatles. He's like
Oh,
the main producer. Yeah, he despised them. Because they were like up and coming young little annoying kids, you know, and he's like this old man at the time.
I think he was wrong about that one.
Time told that, yeah, probably. They interacted with the Beatles another time when they had Paul McCartney write the theme song to Live and Let Die. So they had him write this song, and Cubby's like, cool, who are we gonna get to sing it? And they're like, well, we have Paul McCartney. He's like, yeah, but we want like a real person to sing it. So even up into the 70s, he's like against the Beatles.
Like after the Beatles have come and gone.
Yeah. Like this is like Wings era. Yeah, exactly. And he's
man.
like, no, we want somebody real to sing this, not some Paul McCartney guy. Like,
some up and
people
comer.
kind of like him.
Ah.
Yeah, that's funny. That's a funny line that sticks out to me for sure.
I mistook that. I just thought earmuffs was like a British terminology for.
Oh, sure, yeah. Like, hey, you need to be really listening to this stuff.
Yeah. So I took it the exact opposite. That's funny.
Yeah, very interesting. This hip, cool, trendy movie is, you know, against the kids' culture.
Had a lot to say.
Yeah, but yeah, then a shadow comes across him, and it's Odd Job, obviously, that we know later. But karate chops him in the back, and he gets knocked out. And then I actually don't remember what happens after that.
He wakes up and finds her naked, and
oh yep, mm-hmm.
And then it cuts to London, and he's talking with someone, and who's is it? M is
his boss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And he's the one who says something about skin suffocation.
Yeah, that's probably what like.
From this.
Yeah, probably what started the whole like rumor of them just saying that that's what happens.
That makes a lot of sense. It didn't seem they're like, cabaret dancers die from being painted all the time,
Sure.
unless they have a bare patch in their lower back.
Yeah,
the only way their skin can breathe.
Right, which sounds fine, I guess, if you say it confident enough and keep moving.
And he's a representative of the British government.
You're not gonna lie.
Yeah.
That's funny. I don't know. I guess if you took like gold lined paint that had like metal in it or something, and you like did it, maybe that would work. But yeah.
And then from there, they move to the Q branch.
Yep.
Somebody's wearing a sick trench coat, and a guy with a machine gun just lights him up point blank, which is really sick.
This is our first like Q branch scene, which is great. Yeah, like they get to pack in a bunch of jokes, basically.
Yeah.
And little like gags and stuff, and then Desmond Llewellyn, I think, is there for the first time. As Q, yep. I think he does show up in From Russia with Love to give him the briefcase, but he does barely anything. He just kind of points at stuff.
They reference him. They reference Q Branch, and for some reason at the time I assumed his name was Q Branch.
Oh, funny. Yeah.
Not like, here's this part of this facility that's the Q Branch.
No, here's Mr. Branch. Yes, Q. Yeah. Which I think it's supposed to be, I guess they say the armor or something in the first movie when they give him the gun, but that's sort of like the very first brief, kind of like that scene where they're like, here's your equipment, whatever. And then, the second one is, let's give him this briefcase that has a bunch of stuff going on with it. And then now we have like a full blown scene in the R&D department with all the gadgets and stuff, which is cool. Yeah. And you get their relationship where he's kind of being grumpy with him a little bit, and Bond's being kind of flippant, and that will continue and become more just like they're angry at each other.
They
But
just
yeah,
want to kiss.
I think so.
Probably
Yeah,
some smoochies that could solve all that.
I think so.
Okay, so the reveal of the Aston Martin.
Yep,
How
and then that's a
important
big
is
deal
this?
too. It's pretty big. I mean, you've seen No Time to Die. It comes back. It comes back a lot, for better or worse. But I mean, it's in Brosnan movies. I don't think Roger Moore ever touches the Aston Martin. And then they have different Aston Martins for some other people. But yeah, this is a big deal. It's the first one. I mean, I love this car. It's hard not to. It's a cute little sports car, and I like the idea that he's got this like little compact car, little compact gun. And it's just kind of up to him to use this stuff in the best way possible,
Sure.
rather than like some overkill thing or like John Wick. He's got a wall of guns that he's
Yeah.
using.
But
It's
his most effective weapon is nunchucks.
who
John Wick.
John Wick, yeah.
Yeah. That's another story.
Or old knives. I don't
Yeah.
know. I haven't seen all of them.
Well, in the fourth one, everyone has excessive body armor that is actually just hidden in their suits. Like he's got plated armor in his sweet black suit, and he's
Okay.
fighting these guys who look like ninjas who are like Kevlar plated all over, and they're shooting each other with guns and just getting like knocked back, but keep continuing the momentum of the ferocity of their combat. But then as soon as John Wick picks up a pair of nunchucks, starts walloping these armored ninjas, they're like going flying and just collapsing on the ground.
Really strong nunchucks.
It
Yeah.
was just pretty stupid.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we get a good sequence or a couple sequences with it. I don't know if they've ever done like the full potential of what they could do with like this kind of a prop or whatever. This movie gets there. We'll talk about the big action sequence with it, but I think the ending is just a little bit disappointing.
Sure.
No Time to Die has some good stuff with it. Pretty satisfying, but then it's very brief too. Super quick. So
In the beginning.
And same thing with Skyfall has it very briefly too. But yeah.
There's a reveal of a bunch of the capabilities of its secret hidden weapons. And there's Chekhov's secret passenger ejector seat button.
That's sort of like the James Bond franchise. Like this sequence is Chekhov's whatever. Chekhov's toothpaste, Chekhov's whatever they're giving him, you're like, this is just gonna come back at some point and be the exact solution to what's happening in this scenario. Yeah.
But you're waiting for it and you want it.
Yeah, exactly. Which is cool. Like it works in this movie for sure.
Passenger ejector seat is a hilarious concept.
Yeah. It takes a very specific situation to happen.
Yes.
And it happens. So
yeah. It's like, I bet he's hoping for it. He's like, please, someone I don't like sit in that. Please.
Yeah, why would they have him drive is my question in that situation.
Because they see how good he looks behind the wheel.
Like, man, we just can't take this guy out of here. You drive, I'll sit in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
If they take him hostage, why not just be like, cool, you get in the passenger seat and we're going to drive you in or whatever. Or we're going to take your car, put you in a van or something.
Yeah.
They set him up for the perfect scenario. So
yeah. Well, in their defense, they don't know. Like they don't know if he's sitting in a passenger seat, he could pull a secret gun. They probably figured keep him distracted. Then again, he could just drive real fast, and then he's at his
knock
mercy.
out the guy and then be gone. Yeah. So why even leave him in his car? Who knows?
Yeah, that's a bad idea. They should have just blown it up.
Or it would have been much more successful, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, what do you think about the DB5?
What's the DB5?
That's the name of his car. It's kind of like it's an Aston Martin. I can't remember. It's like the guy's name who designed it, or some Dan Brown 5 or something.
Okay.
But as they go, there's you see like a DBS, you see a DB10, you see the DB V8. They're all like the same line, but this is kind of like the iconic Bond car, I would say.
It looked cool.
Yeah.
I'm not super picky about cars. I'm not really much of a gearhead. It looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
I recognize the words Aston Martin. I know that's important for the legacy of the Bond franchise. I liked all the little, like for me, mostly it's what are the goofy little traps?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to see. I want to see a sleek looking car utilizing goofy little traps.
Yeah, like his little razor things that come out the side or whatever you call them, and
yes,
yeah, there's some good stuff with it.
Oil slicks and caltrops and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, cool. I like it. I think it's got that sort of like British kind of clockworky mechanics feel to it, rather than like a big muscle car,
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Um, Odd Job. Where are we at with the golf scene? Is that soon, or are we?
Yeah, they go to the golf scene either right after Q Branch. There's setup scene where Bond is with Moneypenny and another representative of the British government, and they're talking
Oh,
about
yep.
Nazi gold, I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah. Tell us what you know about gold, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and Bond is given a gold bar, and he's told, use this to form some sort of relationship with Auric. Like get him to work with you using this gold bar.
Yeah.
And then that comes into play when he walks onto the golf course where Auric is playing. Got Odd Job as his caddy,
Hmm.
which is first reveal of Odd Job.
I think that's when you really see him. Yeah, you just see his silhouette before, which is cool.
Yeah,
What do you think about Odd Job?
I think he's funny.
Funny.
Yeah, um, like the way he communicates. There's a scene later on where he's talking to henchmen and he's just pointing and going ah
Yeah.
ah.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's funny.
Yeah.
Um, I can't remember. There's probably vaguely racist. I'm not sure. Just like a vaguely racist representation of this person, but what
He's pretty tame in the movie. Like they don't really mention he's Korean, but they don't really like get into that a lot.
the actor who portrays him is Korean or
I think
Odd
Odd
Job
Job's
is.
himself, yeah.
And is the cell, that one like military cell that Oric's working with? They're Chinese, right?
I think so, yeah.
He's fun. He's like a fun henchman.
Yeah, I
Like
agree.
he's physically imposing, but he's also like visually iconic with his suit and his hat. The hat is amazing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Um, and he's a threat.
Yeah.
I like a henchman that can fill a bunch of roles and still be like, oh, clearly there's going to be a fight with this guy at the end.
Yeah.
It's going to be the second to the last thing is James Bond is fighting the henchman, and then eventually he's got to conquer the big bad.
Yep. Yeah. I can't remember his name. Harold something, Sonata maybe. He's like a wrestler, I think.
I think I've seen him
In
in
real
some
life.
other things.
I think I think he transitioned to acting. But yeah, he's imposing. Like you feel like he's rock solid. And like
Yeah.
those punches that he takes where that classic henchman thing where he doesn't move, you're like, yeah, that guy would not do anything. He
So
would just
good.
take that. Yeah, he's awesome. And I think probably not the best actor is probably why they were like, just make noises. But I don't know.
Might have been in Running Man. The Arnold Schwarzenegger film, The Running Man, as the ice or Sub-Zero.
Interesting.
The ice skater killer.
Huh.
And he also might have been in Three Ninjas.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, more power to him. I love him. I think he's great in this movie. I am reminded. So I've read the books a couple times. This book is very similar to the movie, but when he goes to the front door, I think, and sees him maybe for the first time, there's a part where it says it's something to the effect of he had the feeling that he had every time he came face to face with a Korean. He wanted to punch him in the gut or something like that. Dude, where's this coming from? Freaking English people.
Yeah. Maybe that's what I was like picking up on.
You were feeling that, from the intention of the writer, yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, I don't know. I don't know why I suppose. It's been a while since I've seen it. I don't know why I just assumed that there was like some
I'm sure there's
mishandling.
something in there, yeah. There's got to be. The books are from 10 years earlier, so like from the 50s, so it's even more, repressed or whatever you want to call it. But yeah.
So then Bond presents the gold bar to Goldfinger, and I think they discuss something, and then they decide to make a golf-based wager. And it's for a bar of stolen Nazi gold. I don't know what James Bond stood to win.
I think he's just trying to get in there with Auric, mix it up, trying to develop a relationship.
That makes sense.
But I think he is betting him for it, and then he gets his own caddy, which this character is great and kind of out of nowhere, and like, what is happening? Where's this guy coming from in this movie? But he's awesome.
I don't even remember him.
He's the guy that's like, "It's your honor, sir." Like the Scottish guy that's like
Oh, yeah.
kind of helped him through.
He's only in this one part, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sweet.
Yeah, very memorable. I feel like, but apparently not. But
Well
yeah, whatever.
well, you've
Um,
seen this movie, like, 7
that's
times.
so true. Yep. I like the golf game. I feel like it's a little bit long. But I do like the sort of technicality stuff they catch him on, and like, it's like, yeah, he's cheating. How can we use that against him? And that kind of like end reveal thing. I think is
Yeah.
good.
Oddjob was switching out Oryx's balls.
Hmm.
Anytime he would chip it into a bad spot, Oddjob would just, like, drop
Yeah,
one of
down his
Oryx's
pant
balls.
leg.
Yeah. And then there's something about there was another ball from a previous play of some other players that was left on the course, and Bond picked that up, and then later in the game swapped it out for Oryx's ball, and the rule was you have to play your own ball,
Yep.
and he basically swapped them out, so he's like, "Isn't the rule that you have to play your own ball? Well, look at what
Yeah,
you've been
you've been
playing."
playing the wrong ball since probably this hole or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think he like even gives him the game too. Like misses that last putt, but then has that little turnaround and yeah, just kind of gets under Oric's skin.
yeah, it
I
really
think is
did.
good.
And then, Oddjob as Oric and Oddjob as Oric is getting into his limo or whatever it was, Oddjob flings his hat and decapitates the statue.
Yeah.
Nice little foreshadow.
Yep. And he's like, what's the owner of the place gonna think? And Oric's like, it's fine, I own this club. Yeah, it's great.
Yes.
Puts the tracker on him.
Yes.
Yep. Oric also, or Oddjob also like crushes the golf ball. Yeah, good stuff.
Then they follow him to Geneva.
Yeah, and is this is the car chase part, or the just sort of like following him around? Tilly is driving her
Really
car and kind of
Masterson.
yeah, the sister of Jill. Hmm.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell how she's involved at first. Is she an agent for Oric following following Bond? And then there's, like, a little bit of race with that, I think.
Yeah, they're kind of like. I mean, I'm not sure if he's flirting, but it seems like they're flirting a little bit or something. Or he's like, yeah, they race a little bit. I think I like the sequence, how natural it is that they're introducing this other character,
Yes.
and it's super pretty, like them just driving through the Alps and stuff.
Yes, and there's that
Um,
one excellent shot where Oric is pulled off, along the curve, just
mhm.
overlooking the view, and then the camera is up several curves up the mountain, and you see where Tilly is looking down upon where Bond is looking down upon where
Mhm.
Oric is, or something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
and then is shot at, or she was shooting
He's like shooting past him at Oric, yeah, but
at
then
Oric.
but she hits, I think, next to where Bond is.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Yeah,
that's a
so
cool
then
part.
he catches up with her and
Gives her the old whatever the things are coming out of the side of his car,
oh,
rips up her car.
the Ben-Hur knives.
Yeah, exactly. I do think of Ben-Hur every time.
Yeah,
Rips up her car, and then she looks at the damage on his car. There's nothing, and yeah, no suspicions there.
nope, and he drives her to the garage, and
Hmm. And sees her box that's labeled with her initials, and she says it's ice skates or something. And
I think
is
it
that
was
right then?
labeled with,
Oh, with
Jill's
Jill's initials. Yeah, yeah, I think so.
JM.
Yep. Um, yeah, that's cool. It's her sister. She's like out for revenge. Um, I believe in the book he sleeps with both of them.
Sick.
Um, mhm. But yeah, I like that dynamic too of like, oh, it's just her sister come in,
Yeah,
and she's pissed and she's taking it into her own
yeah,
hands, and now she's wrapped up in this huge plot she had no idea
yes.
about.
And there's a
Because
feeling at that point in the movie, sorry if I just
are
cut
you
you
good?
off, that she's gonna be a lasting character in this
Hmm.
movie, a through line, and
Yeah,
then they're gonna have to, like, sidekick it up.
yeah, and that doesn't happen. I think the next part is her on the grounds, and he like finds her and stops her from shooting or whatever.
Yeah, they're at, Goldfinger Industries at night, kind of creeping around the outskirts. I think if this is the right spot, I think, um, Bond comes upon sneaks out of the darkness and watches Auric working with that Chinese,
Yeah.
uh, uh, terrorist organization. They're forging gold into body work for Oryx's car
Yeah.
in order to smuggle it, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
Really clever, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Which
there's
I think this movie has a lot of super clever stuff. Even the main villain plot is like really clever, something you've never seen before, you know.
yes. Yeah,
A lot
it
of
has
really smart ideas in this.
lots of good layers.
Yeah.
And they reveal a laser cutting tool
Mm-hmm.
to cut out these shapes, which comes into play later.
Chekhov's laser cutting tool.
Yes.
Yep. Like a chase through the woods, I think.
Mr. Lin.
Mr. Lin? Is that his like number one or whatever? That he's like Operation Grand Slam. That
Yes.
part? Yeah, yeah.
Yes, his Chinese counterpart.
Yep. Yeah, he sees kind of what is going on with Orc. Obviously, he's up to no good. And then what? They get somebody sees them on the grounds or something, and they have to run.
She tries to snipe Goldfinger, and Bond stops her, and then it triggers the alarm.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, there's like the string going across that they accidentally hit with the rifle.
Yes. Yep. Then it's the car chase.
Mm-hmm. It's cool.
Yeah, it's smoke, grease.
They go through like a checkpoint or something, and there's an old lady that lives there.
Yes.
Yeah,
that
part's great. Yeah,
doing like border guard, and then she comes out with a machine gun
Yeah.
and starts blasting.
Awesome.
Yes,
that's great.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of character in this movie. Yeah, so there's all hell breaks loose. They have the big chase. He gets to show off some of the gadgets in his car. He has like the bulletproof screen come up in the back, which I think is funny. Like you fast forward to now, and it's like just make the whole thing bulletproof.
It's
like
one part that
yeah,
comes
there's
out
like a
of
shield that comes out of the back, but like in No Time to Die, they're sitting there shooting the windows over and over, and nothing happens. And yeah, why not just make the whole thing bulletproof? But it's less flashy, I guess. He hides behind the door, tells her to run.
Yeah.
And then the hat comes out of nowhere and takes her out. And it's a pretty cool moment, I feel like.
Yeah.
Good kill.
Just breaks her neck and she's
Yeah.
dead.
Yep.
That's
and Bond just kind of like is done. He kind of like stands up and is like, okay, well, I guess take me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then,
I-
okay. Well, yeah. I'm
was-
trying to think of the order because at some point he gets captured and then they're driving his car, or he's driving his car.
So I have it where they trigger the alarm. There's a car chase. They use a bunch of the gadgets, and then he tries to get her to run. She gets killed, and then he gets captured.
Yes. And then there's a second chase.
On the way back. That's where I have Gate Granny with machine gun.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's good. And then he gets to use the ejector seat on the guy, which is satisfying.
Yes, so good. And it's just like 5 to 7 minutes of Chinese guys hanging out of cars with guns.
Yeah.
And chasing after.
In the dark in the woods.
Yeah. It's just blasting.
Yeah, it's great.
Awesome.
Yep. I agree. Very good.
Hilarious imagery.
Probably, I mean, one of the most memorable like action sequences from it for sure. And then the end of it, I think, is pretty goofy, where he gets defeated by a mirror.
Yeah, what the hell?
It's a little bit hard to understand even what's happening, I feel like.
Yes.
But he like comes down an alleyway and there's like a mirror somewhere in the alleyway and he thinks another car is coming at him. And so he veers into the wall and crashes, and that's how he gets caught. It's just stupidity, basically.
And you don't know. There's a lot of this in this movie, which I kind of like. It's a good filmmaking technique where you see something happen and you don't really understand, and then the next few, like the next moments in the scene is like an explanation, a visual explanation of what happened, of why characters behave a certain way. Sergio Leone uses it a lot in his spaghetti westerns. Like, how did this character know this person was there? Well, a guy's approaching, kicks open a door, Clint Eastwood spins around and blasts him. And then as the guy's slowly dying with a confused look on his face, Clint Eastwood says, "Your spurs." And then, so there's a lot of that. And in this, it was like quick cuts of, whoa, why did James Bond just do that? Why did he just crash? And then the odd job walks up and sees the mirror and laughs. Or maybe James Bond sees it and like sighs or something. I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah, they definitely have like that shot afterwards of that was a mirror the whole time. Which, yeah, you don't need to have the audience know exactly what's happening. the whole time, if you're
Yeah.
going to tell him afterwards at least. But
Yeah.
it's hard for me in this one to think like what's on purpose and what's on accident as far as like telling that part of the story. But a really unsatisfying ending of an action sequence, and I
Mhm.
think super silly because you don't want Bond to be defeated by something dumb,
No,
you know?
and it happens a lot.
Yeah,
It's, especially in this movie, there's so many instances of, a scene transition directly following Bond getting knocked out in some way.
he does get knocked out so much in this movie. Yeah,
He gets karate chopped from behind and then wakes
yep,
up to discover Jill Masterson dead. He drives into a wall and
yep,
gets captured.
yep.
He spends most of this movie in
Waking up on the
captivity.
airplane a little bit later. Yeah, yeah. I think that is honestly like the main criticism I've heard of this movie is what happens if Bond's not here. Mostly the same stuff until the very, 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 very end. Maybe.
Whoa, because he's
Yeah,
kinda just a passenger.
it's like the what movie is it? Raiders of the Lost Ark problem, where it's like everything would have probably happened exactly the same. Like they would have found the Ark, they would have opened it, they would have been killed by it. You know, doesn't make it a
Whoa,
bad movie, but it is kind of funny to think about.
sheesh.
Yeah,
I think part of his mission was to just be integrated with Auric to
yeah,
some degree to just be able to keep his eye on him.
yeah. They're just trying to get into his organization, and he does. I think there's that note that he slips out that I don't think goes anywhere. I believe it's really pussy.
Yes. Yeah,
I
Pussy
think she
turns against
really
Auric.
has that like turn of heart, which you could say is his doing,
Sure.
but I think it is her that just like turns them in at the end
It
and all that.
is
So
it is because of his sweet lovin'
yeah,
that turns her, but, uh, this is an issue that I have argued with other people about in films. When the momentum of the movie is not as a result of your characters, your protagonists' like choices or volition,
hmm
there's something missing in that. A very prime example, if you permit me, is The Passion of the Christ. As a as a story,
yeah.
whatever. I'm honestly not a religious person, so I offend anybody if this is stepping on your sensitivities, but
We're
um,
talking about a movie. We're not necessarily talking about the
that's
whatever the book that you're into.
my argument.
Yeah,
Yeah, as a film,
it's a Mel Gibson movie.
it's a
You know,
it's a bad Mel Gibson movie
and there are
because
a lot.
yeah, your main character does does very little,
Yeah,
makes very few choices, does very little as far as actual volition. Like the main thing he does is just hold on. And
yeah.
then the rest of the movie is he's a captive who's being beat upon. There's a movie called The Perfect Host where are you familiar with the cast of Frasier at all?
A little bit.
Yeah. So Frasier's brother,
Yeah, yeah,
Niles, I
yeah.
don't remember that
David
actor's
Hyde
name.
Pierce.
Thank you. Wow. Hell of a pull. So David Hyde Pierce captures a burglar, Skeet Ulrich,
Okay.
who's like trying to rob him for whatever reason. I can't remember. And then the entirety of the rest of the movie, your protagonist, Skeet Ulrich, is just hostage.
Hmm.
And David Hyde Pierce is just like doing weird things around him and just like
It's like making you uncomfortable or
making you
something.
uncomfortable.
And
It's not like torturous,
hmm,
except for but there's like some musical scene numbers and stuff. It's just
interesting.
and Skeet Ulrich has very little. He doesn't do anything. He's just subjected to things.
Hmm.
And so very sensitized to stories or movies where the main character doesn't do much. They're just passengers. And I guess I could agree with that for this movie.
Yeah, I think he is doing stuff. I just don't think it's very successful ever. Like
Yeah,
he just keeps
true.
getting captured over and over again,
Yeah,
for better or worse. But yeah, it is interesting. Like he didn't necessarily need to be there. I mean, the army wouldn't know about it in the end. But yeah, an interesting way to look at it. But I think he's active enough throughout the movie. You know.
yeah, sure. Sure.
But yeah,
Oh,
funny
he wakes
Passion of
up
the Christ to Goldfinger.
natural. Just
Yeah,
a natural
nice.
jump. I think this conversation has happened many times
Oh, of
before.
course, yeah. They're always mentioned in the same sentence together.
So he wakes up strapped to the
Yep.
bench.
This is probably, I would say, maybe like top 3 or 4 recognizable Bond
Yes.
scenes.
Yes.
Really good. I think it's a great scene. You get Oric's like speech. You get, that's the actual villain moment where he's like, "Yes, I am the bad guy." You get Bond has no recourse. He's just stuck to a table. excuse me, and then has to kind of talk his way out of it. And I think that part's believable too, where it's like, I have a word that I did overhear, and he even says it like perhaps something you overheard.
Grand Slam.
Yeah, Operation Grand Slam. I love that part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love how dumb the name is.
Operation Grand Slam.
It's a terrible name. I love it.
Yeah, I mean it's very like generic, especially when you're like the guy who wrote this also came up with Operation Thunderball, like all the other names for stuff. Goldfinger, Goldeneye.
Yeah. I mean, he
They
just
have these, like,
loves pennies.
Grand Slam. Yes. Is that Oric or is that the writer?
Probably both. I mean, I'm sure Aura can get down with some pancakes and bacon.
He looks like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like he loves a bit good pancake and bacon. And we're also,
Golden syrup.
I guess, where are we? Right? We're in the Alps still, right?
I
Or
think
is
so.
this?
I don't think they haven't gotten on the plane yet.
Okay, so they're not in Kentucky yet.
He still has to get knocked out one more time before he wakes up on the
Yes.
plane.
And he has to meet Pussy. But yeah, the big line. Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond. I expect you to die. So good.
So good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and a lot of the iconic Bond moments that I have digested throughout my entire life, a lot of it comes from Simpsons spoofing.
Yeah.
And this
Simpsons
moment
is like
was
a cipher for pop culture for sure. Yeah.
absolutely very
Yeah.
effectively too, except
Yeah.
for it kind of can Mandela effect into you think that's how the scene actually goes.
Sure.
And so I was expecting James Bond to flick out a coin to reflact the
Yeah.
laser to cut all of his bindings.
Yeah.
But in fact, him talking his way out of it is much more interesting
Yeah. Yeah.
because it uses the charm. It uses something that is so inherent to James Bond, his gift of his silver tongue and his
Yeah. His
charm.
ability to play people too, like that
Yes.
sort of card theme. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not just like a heavy. He's not just a bruiser.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's probably something to the like threatening his manhood as well. That
Oh,
probably like
sure.
adds to the iconicness of it, where it's like it is coming straight for his nuts. They don't have to necessarily like make that explicit, but
Yes.
yeah. Cool
Consider
effect too, I think. The laser looks great.
it looks awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it not only looks awesome as some ridiculous, uh, like, evil genius torture device, but it's also believable as a industrial cutting tool.
Yeah.
Like how it was presented early in the movie, so it's, like, not too far-fetched.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
like,
if you took it out of the movie and looked at it straight on and be like, yes, it's some sci-fi craziness.
yeah.
But yeah, just totally buy it in the movie. Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense with it, like, approaching his genitals. It's funny because he's such a, like, a sexualized character
Right.
that does have such a hyper bearing on
Yeah. Like,
his
well, how will he have sex after this?
I mean, he starts to panic.
He needs to.
There's just, like, moments of legitimate panic, which
Yeah.
is also really humanizing.
Yep. Good scene. I'm assuming they knock him out again after that.
Tranked. Yeah, they trank him.
Gotcha. And then, yeah, then he wakes up and meets Pussy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the way to Baltimore.
Yeah, which I think she's awesome. Honor Blackman's so good in this. Like, she's like what you kind of want out of a female lead in a Bond movie. I feel like somebody who's like badass, can take care of themselves. Feel like could stand their own against Bond. She's
Yes.
got a flying circus, which is funny.
Which is insane.
It's awesome.
Yes.
Super kitschy and weird,
Yes.
and yeah, put Pussy Galore's Flying Circus. Also, her name is Pussy Galore, and it's 1964, and this is like a mainstream movie. I think that's awesome as well.
Yes.
Pretty flamboyant.
Yes.
My note is, how did they get away with it? And then she's great and a pilot, and then I think immediately he asks if she's sleeping with Oric as well. He has this like weird thing of like, but you're not sleeping with him, right? He's super gross.
Yeah, why would you sleep with him when you
Yeah.
could sleep with cool
Yeah,
guys
I'm not
like
gonna like you if you're sleeping with him.
Yeah,
That grosses me out.
you're ruined.
Yeah.
Then he goes to she walks away to pilot the plane. He's left with her assistant, and he goes into the bathroom and under the pretense of shaving, he activates a tracking device, which is in the shape of a razor, and puts it in the bottom of his shoe, which is really cool. I love
It's cool, yeah.
like what do you call this part of the shoe?
Like the heel.
He moves the heel of the thank you. The heel of the shoe, and there's like a cavity that he puts
Mhm.
this tracking device in, and he just closes it. It's so simple.
Yeah,
But it's
cool.
visually intriguing, and it's like some spy shit.
Yeah.
He's doing some spy shit.
Yeah.
He's not always just getting knocked out. He's doing cool spy shit.
Yeah. He's radioing back to people where he's at, and then he's getting knocked out.
Yes.
I like the little shaving cream thing too, where he like covers her little spy hole she's looking through.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And then he changes into the gray suit, which I think is one of the coolest looks Sean Connery has, period, as Bond.
His gray suit.
This gray suit from this movie. I think he has the dumbest look, which is the duck on his head. And then he's got the gray suit, which is sweet. Pretty iconic as well, I think.
Yes. Yeah, that is a fly suit.
Yeah, he looks great. Um,
I think they
and
land.
then I
It
think in Kentucky or
reveals.
Baltimore, you said?
I have a note that says airplane on way to Baltimore.
Interesting. 'Cause I know they end up in Kentucky, so that's where the horse stuff is happening.
That's probably where. I don't know if she said that like, hey, we're like
We're in the
near
air over Baltimore or something.
Yeah, maybe that was it. Maybe that was it. They show Pussy Galore's Flying Circus, which is
Yep.
a
It's great.
banner inside of a
Yes.
hangar. It
It's just
literally
written
says,
huge.
yeah, in like circus text. And I don't know if it. Oh yes, sexy brass music when all the bombshell pilots get out of their prop planes.
Hell yeah. That's so good.
It's so good.
Just a flying circus of all women. Awesome.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
and all sexy bombshells.
Yeah, this is the stuff that the Daniel Craig era is missing. Is
Yes.
just this like stupid fun stuff. Yeah.
And this is the stuff that's really appealing to me. This is what I've always pictured Bond. In my head, I picture once we get later, like the Daniel Craig, and it becomes extremely self-serious, which is interesting in its own
Yeah,
way.
it's
Like
got its own stuff. Yeah.
reinvigorating the genre with, like what Christopher Nolan did to the Batman franchise with his trilogy, approaching it from a much more serious angle than Joel Schumacher or even Tim Burton. This is what I want. This is what I imagine Bond to be, and this is where I'm like feeling it the most, I think.
Yeah. No, this is awesome. I think the pulpy stuff is like definitely my favorite. Even when they do pulp serious, like I think No Time to Die has this weird thread going through that I think is what's the girl's name who did Fleabag and she was in the new Indiana Jones. I can't remember what her name is, but she's a writer actress, and they brought her in to like spice up that script. I think most of it is her, but it's the Spectre party where they've got the eyeball on the plate, and there's the three bald guys walking around. It's the like Cuba stuff that's like super campy.
Yeah.
That like you can't have both, and like that campy pulp stuff is the heart of what is cool about James Bond. I think villains with eye patches and shit. You know.
Yes.
Yeah, this is it's great. Good stuff.
So I have a note that says, "Manners, odd job. I thought you always took your hat off to a lady."
Oh, funny.
Which I think
That's a good line.
Sean Connery says that to Odd Job when they're all boarding
Yeah.
limos to go to Oryx Ranch or whatever.
Yeah.
He
It's a good
opens.
line.
It is
Yeah, I thought you always took your hat off to a lady. Brutal.
brutal.
I
know
think
what
we're
you
in
did.
Oryx like fortress now, or his like little place, his manor. Which
Yeah.
I think the inside, the design is so fucking cool.
Agreed.
I said the F word. I don't care. But yeah, super cool. I'm actually looking at a picture of it right now.
I think we're cool to swear on this fucking
I
thing.
think so too. Hell yeah.
We have.
Yeah, the hardwood, his little model. The gangsters are kind of funny.
Dude, I have Goldfinger has a mobster playdate in his ruckus room.
Yeah. And their lines are really goofy.
I
What's
love
happening? What's moving? What's going on, Goldfinger?
Every time something happens, they respond immediately. It's like so he's like moving things around in his room to display a model of Fort Knox, and then like anytime one thing happens, open that door, turn those lights back on. What's that map doing there? The floor. What is this? A merry-go-round? It's just like this cavalcade of
They're
like
such tough guys.
I love it. I love those dumbasses.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, that room is so cool. Ken Adam. Yeah, kicks so much ass. And then you get, I think right here you get Orc speech. Knock off Fort Knox.
Yes.
Yeah, which this is probably my favorite part of the movie. His speech, and like throughout history there's been these like genius acts in all the fields except for crime. Awesome.
Yes.
So cool.
So what's he doing? He's got representatives from several crime families in this room that he's been like in debt to, or they've been doing
agreed to pay them. Yeah, and he's like, but your payment's actually in Fort Knox, and we're gonna go get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of us combined are going to knock off Fort Knox.
Which is also great.
Yeah,
Awesome
it's a great
plan.
idea.
Yeah.
And there are just a bunch of dweebs, like these mobsters who are just like,
Yeah.
"What's going on? Oh,
The
what's
merry-go-round?
Yeah. The way that Bond. So at this point, when it comes back, did you have more to say on that? I don't want to move forward.
No. I mean, the only note I have that I think I missed was like, there's a lot of America in this movie. It's very like America-based, which is cool. Like we haven't seen it in a while in the modern franchise. I don't know. I go back and forth with it. Of like, is it exotic enough? Is it cool enough? I think it works in this movie.
In this case, the Americana is iconic or exotic because we've spent all of the other movies throughout the world.
Europe and Jamaica and
Yeah, so at this point, it adds a different visual texture that is
Yeah.
much appreciated. Like
I
a
can agree
horse
with that.
ranch, it's like most of this last quarter of the movie.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Plus, like, it's a little bit exotic just because it's 1964 and you're seeing all the old stuff and
Yeah,
cool cars and all that.
Yeah.
KFC is in there for a second.
yeah.
Interesting.
I love how he tricks the guy, how he gets out of his cell. So Bond wakes up in a prison
Oh yeah.
cell. He basically just walks. There's one of the Chinese terrorist operatives is watching him through a window in the cell that he's in. So Sean Connery walks through the window, waves at the guy, winks,
Give him a
and
little
just
smile.
yeah, and then just ducks below the window. And then the guy's like, "Oh!" And so he runs and opens the door.
Yeah, I love this part too. Give
Where
him a
could he
flirty
be?
little wink.
Yeah, and then the guy comes running in and he just wipes him out.
Yeah,
He's like,
because
"What?"
yeah,
Yeah.
I
And then
think that's great too.
once outside of his cell, he sneaks around the compound and ends up underside the meeting room with Goldfinger and the mobsters and listens in on the meeting by like hiding inside the model.
Yeah,
His head is up inside the Fort Knox model. He's just like looking through the little windows at the conversation. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's great.
Wonderful. So fun.
And then I think it's caught under there.
Oh, he gets
I think
caught.
Pussy, I think, and some other people kind of catch him down there.
Yes.
Yeah, but he's already heard the plan. He knows what Operation Grand Slam really is. And then I think the one mobster who didn't want to be part of the plan gets sent home. He sneaks the note into his pocket about what's going on,
Yes.
and then they really show a car getting crushed
Yeah.
completely from beginning to end.
Yeah, they take him. Either they shoot him and then destroy the evidence by leaving him in the car to get
Yep.
crushed, or they just have him in the car getting crushed.
Yeah, but they show that whole thing.
They did, and
They really do.
sweet.
It's cool, yeah. It's like, you guys just want to see something badass for a
Yeah.
second? Here we go.
This is what could have happened to the brave little toaster, but didn't.
Oh, God. Worthless, I think is that song. Yeah.
Yeah. But then the walls all close again, and the nerve gas for the mobsters.
Yeah, he didn't need him in the first place. He just kills them all.
He kills them all, and one of them's just like, "I don't like this.
I don't like dying, Auric.
Quit it."
This poison hurts.
Mr. Solo leaves before getting gas, says farewell with his cut of the gold. Bond slips the tracker with the note. Oddjob drives him away, shoots him, and then junkyard disposal. Oh, and then he drives away in another truck with that destroyed car
Yeah,
in
it's
the
like
back of that truck.
El Camino or something.
It's-
It's like
yeah.
a car with a truck bed,
The hell
and then
you
he's
doing with
got that in there. I don't know why.
Like, do they have to go store that someplace else? They're just
I
gonna
think-
like bury it?
No, I think there's a line where he says, "Retrieve my gold from the car," or whatever, because he pays him out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. But then it cuts. Bond is in his cell, and there's 5 of those Chinese terrorists in the cell with him, just with guns on them.
That's pretty funny. Yeah.
And he's just kicking back.
Yep. That's pretty funny. Have we got to the roll in the hay yet?
Not quite.
Okay.
Yeah, that's first. Goldfinger wants to use an atomic device on the gold in Fort Knox,
Yep.
spurring an economic chaos in the West and making Goldfinger's gold worth more, because the rest will be irradiated, which is cool.
Yeah.
It's
You get the actual plan, and I think that part is like super clever.
yeah, that's a really interesting idea.
Yeah. Don't need to take anything out. I'm just gonna put a dirty bomb in there, and then my gold's worth more.
Yeah,
Amazing.
and it has nothing to do with embarrassing the English government,
Yeah, that's true.
which is most of the other plots.
Yeah. We're gonna topple these missiles. To the
Stop
book.
toppling the missile.
Yeah. The freaking book for From Russia with Love is literally James Bond doesn't show up until halfway through the book.
Damn.
Literally halfway, hundreds of pages in,
Wow.
and it's all Russian officials talking about how they can embarrass James Bond. And people love that book. People think it's their favorite. What's that?
I bet Putin keeps
Yeah,
that
sure.
book underneath
It was the book that was on Kennedy's nightstand when he was dead. He died,
Oh.
and it was also on Lee Harvey Oswald's nightstand.
Whoa.
It was just popular at the time, and it was like I think Kennedy put it in his top 10 books of the year or whatever, and that kind of burnished on whatever the word I'm looking for, the Bond like fervor. So I think that's why Oswald had it, because he was obsessed with Kennedy. But
do you think there's
still weird?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I was wondering do you think the fervor around those books was any way comparable to like the fervor around the Harry Potter books? There's just like a giant
but for
franchise
like
at the time.
dudes.
Okay.
For like
instead of children, it's for adult men.
Yeah, exactly.
I get that.
Yeah.
And then after this Goldfinger is Bond and Pusey taking a tumble in the hay.
Yep. That's all it takes, and he turns her.
Yeah, he kisses her at first totally against her will.
Yep.
She loves it though.
She does.
Luckily, she loves it.
Yeah. Oh man. Luckily, she loves it.
She loves it.
And then they have cute little like harp music or something as they throw each other back and forth. Yeah, great. Ridiculous scene, but funny. In the book, it's a little bit more explicit that she is gay. And this scene, she turns for Bond.
What?
Because I think Ian Fleming's idea was like, yeah, but they just haven't. If a woman is gay, then they just haven't met the right man, kind of a thing. But he's from the 50s, you know.
That's almost Buffy-esque.
Sure.
It
has not gone away. That idea. Yeah, like isn't it Willow like gets turned back or something? Or
I think if I look at it in certain light, I can find the beauty in it. But so she's in love with Seth Green's character.
Oz.
Oz. Thank you. Yeah. But he's a werewolf and he is too unstable. He has to consistently lock himself up, but he recognizes himself as a potential threat to his loved ones, including Willow, whom he is in a romantic relationship with. And so he banishes himself. He self-exiles to like the mountains of maybe Switzerland or something, maybe just the Alps. And then Willow says, "Okay, you're the only man I will ever love." And as a result of that, she starts like exploring other elements of her sexuality, which leads her to falling in love with this other young witch in training. Like they bond over like
their magics or whatever
and stuff, which I could see that in two different ways. It's like, okay, no, like she can't love another man, so now she's just gonna go with girls, or like now she's just open to explore elements of her sexuality. I'm not sure, but if I don't think about it too much, I think it's kind of sweet.
Yeah, if you look at it like just as this character and not as a comment on something else, then
yes.
Yeah.
So I have written Rockabye Baby. Was that their?
Oh, that's their Operation Rockabye Baby. Yeah, because they're gonna knock out all the soldiers.
Was it their operation with the flying circus?
I think so. Yeah. They're supposed to fly over with gas and knock out all the soldiers.
Yes.
And this is where the circus really comes out. And my note says, "Pussy's Flying Circus is fabulous." They kick so much ass. Their outfits are so good. Everything is great. Yep.
So they fly over.
Champagne leader to Champagne 1. Yeah, so good. All of it's great.
I love that terminology. They fly over the base. They launch the gas, and you see all the army men just like dropping
for a while. Yeah,
it's several shots, and there's this one where it's like mid jumping jack. They just collapse. There's some really good imagery.
I think they're real soldiers, and I think you can tell in a lot of the scenes because it's a lot of like, I'm gonna set myself on the ground. Whatever. But you see everybody get knocked out, but not really knocked out. And Oric and his crew come up to Fort Knox. I believe you start to see the inside of Fort Knox at this point. I don't know if they've revealed that the gas isn't real and everybody's fine, or if they wait a little bit for that. But the inside of Fort Knox, it's a little bit later. The inside of Fort Knox is awesome. Such cool production design.
Yeah, it looks like just a super vault.
Yeah,
multi-story super vault with kind of an open floor plan, right? Where acts something like that.
Floors and floors of gold. It looks
Yeah.
like a video game level a little bit. Like I would
It
have not
does.
been surprised to see that in Goldeneye. But yeah, super cool production design. Nobody had seen the inside of Fort Knox till that point, except for people who like worked there. So Ken Adams like, here's my best shot, and then
Awesome.
like the administrative head of Fort Knox or whatever, like sent him a letter and was like, "That's cool. I like that.
Cool.
Like good idea, you know."
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Chinese mercenaries blow the gate and then use the same crotch laser to cut a hole.
Mm-hmm. Crotch laser. Yep. Yeah.
Which
Yeah. It's back in action.
maybe it was never a cutting tool for gold to turn the gold into
Hmm.
plating for the. Maybe they just established it
So
and
they could
then
get their way in the safe with it.
yes,
Yeah.
like it was going to be used for this, or maybe it was used for all three, which is also really cool.
Yeah. I can see that.
I have Bond handcuffed to Odd Job. He is a
Mm-hmm.
hostage for about 80% of this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, oh, we're coming into the end, and he's still captive. Okay. I mean, I like the idea of him being like in close proximity to the bad guy throughout the whole plan.
Yes.
Really interesting.
Yes.
They visit that a bunch, but this one I think is very clear that like he just has he can't do much. He's just kind of hoping that the rest of the people kind of pick up their stuff or pick up the slack.
You know the visual storytelling technique of the audience only can know what your protagonist knows, and so then you have to place your protagonist in almost every scene so that they can absorb as
Yeah.
much of the establishing like exposition as possible. This movie will occasionally show scenes in which James Bond is not involved,
Hmm.
so we get information from that. But then they also have Bond in close proximity because he's a hostage. So I guess the audience can see that what he knows
Yeah.
too.
You get a lot of like the villain side of things, and then you, the audience is the only one that knows kind of like what the good guys are doing.
Yes.
Um, which works, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the other way can be limiting unless it's done right. And the way this story is presented is extremely effective.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, usually you can build mystery around like what the bad guy's doing, but I don't think you don't need to with Auric. You're just like, yeah, this guy already, you guys' plan, it's in motion. It's kind of too late. Like he's figured it all out,
Yeah.
and like let's hope that we can be fast enough to like undo what he's got going on. You know?
Yeah, which what he's got going on right now is he's setting up that nuke,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Geiger counter in the car. You see, I think Felix. You see whatever other agent Felix has been working with, kind of following James Bond,
Mm-hmm.
or trying to because the tracking device was a
Yeah.
little misleading. They all wake up and
Yeah.
spring into action,
Yep.
and then everyone else on the army base does too.
They would just go back through all those same shots, showing everybody getting back up. I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then that's when it's revealed, I think, that the nerve gas was swapped out for something else.
Yep. And you kind of realize that. I don't know if they actually explicitly say it was Pussy Galore, or you think it was his note. I can't remember. But yeah, then all hell breaks loose, basically.
Yes.
And the armies start fighting each other. The Bond is handcuffed to the bomb in Fort Knox.
Yes.
And then there's like a big shootout at the entrance. Auric is there, and he's shooting people with his golden pistol.
He's
And
wearing an American officer uniform.
yeah, I like that little switch where he's like, "Oh, they're coming," and then he shoots them.
Yes. And then so the Goldfinger's lieutenant is locked in the vault with Bond and Oddjob.
And job, yeah,
And Oddjob and he starts freaking out about the nuke. He's like,
Yeah.
"We got to defuse it.
yeah.
We're gonna die."
And Oddjob's like, "No, we got to let this happen," and I
Yeah.
think throws him off the balcony.
And luckily he does because he lands near where
Oh, yep.
Bond is handcuffed to the bomb, and it's this really exciting race against time as Bond is like creeping inch by inch towards the man who got thrown off the railing, who has the key to the handcuffs, while Oddjob notices this and is like running down the stairs to get to him. And
Yeah, inching on the bomb and trying to get it to move over closer, and yeah, that's great. I think the design of the bomb is really cool too.
yes, I do too. It's a great prop.
Yep.
Finally, I think what is this? Surprised at restrained music cues during the fight.
Oh, it's pretty quiet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
And my note before that is, I like that Orc gets involved in the fight with his little military outfit.
Yeah, he does look dashing.
Yeah, he does. But yeah, so he gets loose, and then they have a I think, a pretty awesome fight in Fort Knox.
Yes.
It's pretty spectacular. One-on-one fight, picking up stuff, piece of metal, that like metal leg or something that Oddjob picks up, and you're like, that feels heavy, yeah.
Yes.
Or that I think Bond picks it up and he's like trying to hit him with it.
And I think the only thing that was a little off-putting was how restrained the music was, just how
yeah.
quiet it was. Sometimes I like that. It just
Yeah.
feels more vicious. It feels more
Visceral.
real. Visceral, thank you.
Like the
But
bathroom fight from Eastern Promises or whatever.
yes.
Yeah.
But in this case, I think I could have used a little bit more.
I think that's a very like of the time kind of thing where they're like, we don't want to distract. Like, this is finally the guys are fighting. Like, let it just be the fight, you know. But I agree. I think
appreciate that.
definitely there could have been a little bit more music.
I could go both ways. Now that we've had this conversation, I think I like the idea behind it of not having the music to distract. It's like when in 1931 in Dracula, when Dracula is plying his hypnotism or attempting to apply his hypnotism on Van Helsing in the same way that he had used it on several other people throughout the story or the film. He tries to stare into Van Helsing's eyes to warp his mind with his vampiric hypnotism. And there's this moment, it's just a silent moment, no musical cues, where he's staring and he leans in. And you see a moment where Van Helsing is like briefly taken and he just like pulls away and steps back, all silent of staring. It is so effectively done. It's so beautiful. And I can imagine, especially for a movie of that era in 1931, they could have destroyed that scene with just too much music, just like wrenching at the audience, trying to express to them this is the intensity of the scene. But the fact that it was done in complete silence, the restraint in that was extraordinarily impressive, and it makes that scene like withstand the test of time.
Yeah, I can see that. It's like faith in your actors, faith in the setup, faith in the scene, and then like your setup here is awesome. You've had this guy Oddjob who you're not quite sure what he's capable of, but you've seen him crush golf balls in his hat and
Yes.
take punches and stuff. And then you've got your hero James Bond, who's been able to get out of every situation until now, and what's going to happen when brain meets brawn, kind of a thing.
Yes.
And I think it could be a goofy ending to that fight, but I think the electricity thing is great, and the effects for it are awesome.
Yes.
And his Harold, whatever his last name is, Oddjob's reaction to it is awesome, where he like goes rigid and
it's intense.
Yeah, like there's the cable on the ground is spewing electricity or something.
The cable that was severed with Oddjob's hat.
Yeah,
which James Bond severed with Oddjob's hat, and Oddjob thinks that it was a miss.
Oh yeah,
right? Is that right?
I think so. Yeah, and then the same thing. He throws it at him, and it goes past him into the bars, protecting the gold. And then when Oddjob goes to collect it,
maybe that was it.
That's the miss.
Maybe
I think so. I'm not sure how that gets severed, but obviously it gets severed during the fight, and Oddjob's throwing a blade around, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then he goes to grab it. Bond dives on the ground, hits the bars with the electrical cable, electrifying the bars and the hat. Oddjob's holding on to it, and there's a big explosion, and Oddjob gets fried. And it's great.
Awesome.
Super satisfying.
Yes.
And then meanwhile, the fight's going on. Somebody gets crushed by the door as it's opening.
Oh yeah.
Can't tell if that's on purpose or not. It really feels like a stuntman's just being smashed behind the door.
Yeah. And then the fight between the soldiers spills into the vault.
Yeah, which is also awesome.
Yes.
Very good. And then they're fighting into the vault. Bond's trying to defuse the bomb.
Which is a very cool prop again.
Yep.
It's just like exactly as you would imagine a nuclear device.
Stuff whirling and
like wires everywhere.
Yeah, it's great. The numbers are counting down, and then somebody like pushes Bond aside and is like, "Here," and just like flips the switch and turns it off.
Moments from just ripping out some wires.
Yep.
Like his last recourse, Bond's last recourse was just like, and he was going to rip out red and blue or some shit, and then either lighter or
I think just some expert guy. Yeah.
He runs in, and he's just like, no.
Yeah, and it stops at 007 seconds.
Yes. Oh, I didn't even catch that.
And I think it did, or I'm just putting that in my brain, but I think it is 007 seconds. And there's a bunch of times where bombs are defused in the Bond franchise, and every time it's not 007 seconds. I'm like, you guys, how did you restrain yourselves?
Because they did it once when it mattered. That's why.
That's true. So yeah, you think everything's resolved. The American soldiers kind of take over. Bombs turned off. I think he's reunited with everybody. They're going to put him on an airplane to go meet the president, I think. Is that already? Or something else before that?
It comes out, I think, one of the agents mentions that it was Pussy that switched the gas
Gotcha.
in the
Yep.
tanks, so no one actually was, put to sleep.
Yep.
She helped set up the ambush. The agent asked what made her call Washington, and Bond says he must have appealed to her maternal instincts,
Yeah.
which
Interesting.
does that insinuate that he got her pregnant?
No, I'm not sure what that is.
Uh, I
I don't know.
I don't fully understand
She's a
that,
woman, so she's got maternal instincts.
and he reminded her of her
Of a
woman
child.
he
I don't know.
reminded her of her womanliness with the power of his sweet boning.
Maybe that's kind of that. I mean, yeah, maybe that's kind of where they're going. Of like, oh, I reminded her she's a woman.
Yes, yeah, hot.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's so good at laying with
yeah,
women.
playing around in a hay bale.
Yeah, damn.
So yeah, they send him to go meet the president,
Yes.
and it's the classic like you're off your guard, and then he's on the plane to go meet the president, and Orc comes out of the cabin
Yeah, with his
and
gun.
with his gun and his general's outfit still on.
Yes.
Yep. Then you get like a little scuffle in the plane, resulting in somebody shooting a hole in the window, and then everything starts to get sucked out, and then Orc gets sucked
Yeah,
out.
he spins through the air
Yeah,
and gets lodged in the window, screams, and then just gets sucked out the window.
it's pretty good.
It's the best.
Yeah.
I could think of no more hilarious way for a baddie to get killed, except for maybe the end of, a movie I can't remember the name of, so continue.
Okay. There's one big one in the Bond franchise that is I'm so excited
Is it
for.
Yaphet Kotto?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's so good. It's like one of the best endings to a villain ever. Some would say the worst, but I don't care.
This adds very little to this conversation, but when it shows, Goldfinger walk out with a silly gun in his outfit, it
Mhm.
cuts like a 2-second cut. It just cuts to the plane hangar where the
Oh,
actual
the guys are
crew,
tied up.
they're just, like, tied up and like,
Yeah.
and then it just immediately cuts back.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. You're just like, oh, something's up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. So I think that's pretty much Goldfinger.
Well, Pussy
Oh.
and Bond Pussy is piloting the airplane, and then the airplane is going down.
Oh, yep. Hmm.
And so then they evacuate, and I love
Yeah.
the way they show this. I can't really remember how it's done, but it's, like, shown basically just with, like, the radar of the ground crew,
Yeah. Hmm.
and then it's implied that they got out, and you don't know if they actually get out until you see them together in, like, a jungle floor, and, she goes to wave to the search and rescue crew, but he, like, pulls her down and then covers them with the parachute,
Yep.
and he's like, "Oh, no, you don't," and
Yeah.
then
Yep. Yep. Very like Doctor No before it, where it's like,
yes.
yeah, we're gonna be rescued, but no, let's hang out instead. This one's probably better than being lost at sea in a boat after you've been through all that.
Yeah,
Doctor
yeah.
No, but yeah, classic Bond ending. He's with the girl, uh, and they're ignoring being rescued.
Yes, and then the theme kicks in, and it's so good.
It's great, yeah, that's awesome. Well, there's Goldfinger.
Yeah.
Uh, you told me your impressions at the beginning, but you want to just remind me? I know you think you said it's your favorite one so far.
Yeah,
Yeah,
easily. I can't imagine it being toppled from that anytime soon, but again, I have no idea.
yeah,
I look forward to it had everything that my preconceived notions of what I wanted out of a Bond franchise is, and the whole reason why I've always wanted to get into the Bond franchise is I'm really interested in my aesthetic for, like, film covers a wide range, but I think I've narrowed it down to, like, practical effects and where camp meets cool. Sometimes it's cool, sometimes it's campy, and my mood can change. Like, I'll love it because if I'm really into camp, or I love it because it's actually kind of classic cool. I
yeah,
got a lot of all of that in this one, and some surprise, some great practical effects, and
yeah.
some hilarious moments, some probably unintentionally hilarious moments as well.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a '60s movie. You're gonna get some of that stuff. I think
Yes.
where camp meets cool is like that is awesome. That's a good way to put it, and like that is like ideal. I feel like you want to have fun, but you want to like also be like this guy's a badass.
Yes, yes, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of that, there's representations of that in like 70s and 80s Japanese filmmaking, probably almost exclusively inspired by the James Bond franchise, honestly. I'd be interesting to see. Like, there's this trilogy with Tomisaburo Wakayama called the Bounty Hunter trilogy. Actually, it might be Shintaro Katsu. No, I think it's Tomisaburo Wakayama, and it's like a samurai trilogy, but using guns and gadgets and stuff
Cool.
that I'm really excited about. I'm going to hold off on that until we get out of like a certain era of the James Bond, and I could see like how informed by James Bond those movies are.
That's cool. Yeah, that's sweet. I talked to you a long time ago about a movie that I think is actually just in on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But I was like, I feel like you referred an Italian James Bond knockoff to me, but I'm pretty sure it is just that sequence. But in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, when he goes off to Italy to make a James Bond knockoff, remember that? He's like
Yes.
going off a bridge that's like up, and he like goes straight up it and jumps.
Yes.
But yeah, too, I'm always looking for James Bond ripoff movies because it's
Yeah.
so fun. Just the idea of like a guy with gadgets and he's so cool, whether he is or not. Like just them playing him as so cool. Like love
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
Um,
After we're done recording, I'll show you the trailer for that Bounty Hunter trilogy.
sweet.
I have it over there.
So this is like the big one, like for a lot of people, a lot of fans, Connery fans included. Like, I'm not surprised that this is the one that you like know the most as far as like references, because for sure this is like the big one for a lot of people. A huge hit. It was their biggest hit, obviously, because they're building this momentum, and then all of a sudden they just nail it. You know.
Up to this point, or for a little while yet?
What do you mean? Oh,
Like,
up until this point. And then what usually happens in my observation is you have your most successful one, and then the next one's the one that makes the most money. Because that one's an ad for the next one.
oh.
So the next one is Thunderball, and that is it might still be the highest earning for like if you put it into 60s money. But it is probably like one of the most successful Bond movies.
That's
What we
interesting.
have left now are 2 Connery movies. And then Connery comes back one more time officially after this, and then one more time unofficially after this.
Okay.
So this first section that I wanted to do, we have 2 left. We have Thunderball, and we have You Only Live Twice.
Okay.
One of these is my least watched, and one of these is my favorite.
Oh, don't tell me
So
which.
I'm not going to. But
Where
we
does
have
Man with the Golden Gun lay?
in my How I Like It.
No,
Man with the Golden
where?
Gun.
Just in.
Oh, it's so Connery leaves, then we have a weird section of them trying to figure stuff out. It's Roger Moore's second movie.
Okay.
So we have these 2 last Connerys, a kind of one-off. Connery comes back, Roger Moore's first movie, and then Roger Moore's second movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to get to the Roger Moores because
Yeah.
I'll share with you one of the funniest jokes I've ever said in my life. Yeah.
Awesome. Sweet. Yeah, I'm excited for the Roger Moores too, just because that's where the dial gets turned way more towards campy.
Ooh.
There's some pretty badass stuff in the first, especially the first one, but it gets real silly. I think my review after I watched all the Roger Moore ones, that originally was, why does Austin Powers exist?
Wow.
But you know, they're different. But yeah, it just gets real silly and fun. But
Are you excited about this next?
I'm excited about all of them. I love all the eras. I get into all the movies. I am just for the benefit of us having things done. It'd be cool to be done with this first section,
Yes.
and be able to move on. But there's still good stuff coming up, so I'm excited.
Awesome.
Cool. You got anything else to add?
Yeah, probably. I mean, often we'll end these little segments with like what I would rate it.
Yes. So you already mentioned that you would recommend it to just sort of the general public of people you
Yes.
know.
Yes.
Which I agree. It's a very like definitive. What's James? This movie definitely
Yes.
answers that.
Yes. And as someone outside of the context, a little more than you are, like you're in it. You're very deep in it, and
I'm in it.
you have
Mhm.
opinions. I think that I would actively recommend this. I would say, so far, I would say watch this and watch Casino Royale, and you're probably good.
Yeah.
But that's just so far.
Yeah. That's a pretty good image of like here's old Bond and here's modern Bond. Yeah.
I'd probably give it a 4.
4 out of 5.
of like how much I appreciate it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would probably
No,
do
that's awesome. That's
2.5
really
still.
high. That's
Yeah.
good. I'm trying to rate these just inside the Bond franchise itself. It's
Oh,
hard for me to I mean, you do whatever you want. I
yeah.
think you have less context, right? So
Yes. Much less.
it's your number one. Like, how
Yes.
would you rank the three we've watched? Reverse order?
Oh man, that's hard. It's I think 1 and then a tie for 2.
So Goldfinger and then the other two?
Yes,
Yeah.
because as I appreciate the other 2, they feel different from
Yeah.
each other, but I like them both differently. One of which is more scenic and uh, it has this texture to it. Like the Caribbean texture of it is the colors, the feeling is interesting.
Yeah.
It just has a feel unto itself. Russia with Love has some really cool sequences, some exciting stuff, some spy shit,
Hmm?
but it's disappointing because of so many mistakes that James Bond makes, and your commentary of it just being brown and gray for so much of
It
it.
is. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
In my head, it's just this blur of brown and gray with
Hmm.
some cool spy shit, whereas the first one has like so much like uh like to my memory like moments that are popping.
Hmm.
I don't have a lot of popping moments for with Love,
Hmm.
but I thought it was cool.
Yeah. I
And
think the opening from Russia with Love is awesome with the
it's so
chess
much
and
fun.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And maybe that's it. Maybe if it was a 30-minute movie in which it starts with the opening and it
Sure.
ended and with
Yeah.
like some shit in the middle. Plus who was the female lead in that?
Tatiana.
Wolf.
Yeah. Yeah. She's awesome.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Like she was so adorable.
Yeah.
Um yeah, I don't know. As I wish I will be able to fill that in more, I think. And maybe the more I watch Russia with Love will just like keep going down the list
Maybe.
because it's less and less memorable. It's just it had so much promise, man.
Yeah.
Ah,
It's one of those things, like, this franchise is so big that uh once you've seen like a chunk and going back, like, it changes your opinion of those movies for
yes.
sure. Like, that's why Doctor No is so like good to me. Is it's simple, it's just
Yeah.
straightforward, it's just this like cute little story, and then you can like move on. But yeah, I've had times where I've gone back to From Russia with Love and been like, this is my favorite one.
Wow.
For a lot of them, I mean, that one just because it's really serious
Yeah,
and it's Connery like at his peak.
sure.
um but yeah, I mean, Mandy and I just did a marathon of all the Daniel Craig ones,
Hmm.
and it was the first time I think I'd seen all of them in a row. It was exhausting.
Yeah.
He never gets a break. Like,
Wow.
almost all of his movies start at the end of the movie prior, and it's just like miserable. He's just
Wow.
miserable the whole time.
It's like 24 with Jack Bauer.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, another day like this,
Yeah.
Jack. Are you
Yeah.
okay?
That's a fascinating story as well because even though it's told in like 9 24-hour days or 8 24-hour periods and then a 12-hour period,
Yeah.
because of how each season ends and then how each season starts, you know exactly what Jack Bauer has been up to for the last 3 years in between each day.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this season ends and he's going to be a hostage for the Russians for 3 years,
Oh
and he's
God.
just gonna be tortured every day, or this season ends and he's like a heroin junkie trying to infiltrate a cartel group, and so it's like weird, like you just see highlights of his life with these like really exhausting days,
Hmm.
but you know the extent of the period of time almost better than you get with a lot of other protagonists in long running series.
Yeah. Yeah. You assume that they at least get a break from stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
they get
the
to
Lethal Weapon guys, have some days off,
yeah,
But
yeah,
Daniel Craig's Bond is just sad the entire time, except for briefly in No Time to Die, and then he's sad again.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that is something too that I think this era is good at. Is yeah, he's just hanging out. Things are light. Things are fun. Doesn't have
Yes.
to be too serious.
And sometimes you need that. You
Yeah,
want that for a protagonist. One of my favorite elements of the show Miami Vice is I just want Sonny Crockett to be happy.
yeah.
And
Have him hang out.
he so rarely gets it.
That's
Like
fun.
he falls in love with yet another cop or yet another of the people that he's trying to arrest, and then it always ends in tragedy. Um,
Yeah, can't change who you are, I guess.
I love watching this series with you. I'm way into consuming the scope of a director's work or the scope of a character's lineage. I find that the slowly being able to see each progressive step
Hmm.
is really fascinating. I just got done with Wong Kar-wai. I did a Wong Kar-wai-a-thon and got to consume the majority of his work. I have a box set and then some of his other movies just individually. And I'm going through Koreeda, Hirokazu Koreeda, and just like seeing his work as it develops and like his personality from his debut, like has elements of his personality in it and his directorial style. But then each movie is like subtly different, but still with that style, and then you see it
Kind of
progress.
building on it. Mhm.
Yeah, and then he locks in on one thing, like this is kind of my style, which I'm hoping he still has some shifts after this point, because if that's the style he locks in on, it's like it's great, but
But you did it.
you did it, and I
Kind of
loved some of your other stuff before that more.
it's the Wes Anderson thing. Like you did it. You're
Yes.
doing it again. You're gonna
Yes.
do it again, and then you're gonna do it again. It's like cool. I get it. I get what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the times too, like for me, as soon as they've got that style locked in, they have the whole picture of it. The earlier ones become way more interesting, where it's like I want to watch you figure it out, and I want to watch when it works and when it doesn't. And it's like, yeah, that one's I can take it as read. Cool, we get it. You figured it out.
That's a
But
good
like
point.
well, I don't know. Peter Jackson applies because his styles are so different over time.
Sure.
But his first couple are so intriguing to me.
Yeah, Dead Alive.
Yeah. And Bad
Frighteners.
Taste.
Is that a Peter Jackson?
Yeah, Bad Taste is his first one.
Is it good?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
It's like I highly recommend this movie for people who like movies and the making of movies.
Not me.
Because so probably not you.
Yeah.
But for real, him and his buddies on a weekend were like, let's shoot a short. They're like, that was so fun. Let's just shoot another day of it. That was so fun. And they just did it for 4 years and made a movie.
Hell yeah.
Just shooting stuff on the weekend, on
That could be
Sundays.
us.
Yeah. And like
That could be us, Doug.
I know, it's true, but that sounds exhausting as well.
I know.
One
Well, that's
thing
why we're
at a
doing
time.
this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
One thing at a time. But yeah, so cool. And just the way that it starts off really small and becomes this big thing.
Yeah.
So good. Awesome.
I'm having
Love that
some
movie.
people over for Halloween. A lot of them haven't seen Frighteners.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And I love Frighteners, and it was, I loved it ever since it came out. I've watched it several times throughout my life, and it was the first movie that I watched with Kylie in
Oh,
my
nice.
apartment.
Yeah.
And if I knew her better at the time, her like tastes in movies, I might have not have chosen that.
Interesting.
But it kind of worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox. You
Yeah.
know? Who doesn't like Michael J. Fox?
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
It's a serial killer. It starts out really lighthearted and it gets pretty dark.
It gets heavy, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Like
awesome.
a serial killer ghost.
Yeah.
Badass.
Busey.
Yeah, Busey. Yeah.
One of yeah. That movie's awesome. Well, cool. I've been thinking about what I would rank it. I think it's like straight down the middle for me. It's like, yep, that's a good Bond movie. So it feels bad to rank it at 2.5. I don't remember when I gave From Russia with Love. I definitely like this one better at this point. Let's say it's a little bit above average. How about a 3?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go with a 3.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's the same thing. It's like you guys figured it out. It's red, like I get it. It's there. The highs of some of them are more high for me than where this gets to, and even with the lows of what they bring, that I'm okay with that because some of that's just fun and dumb.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we've got my least watched one, which I'm excited for, and we've got my most, or maybe my favorite Sean Connery one, left in this little block that we're doing. So.
And what are the last two? Thunderball and
You Only Live Twice.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, cool. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Cool.
Good talk.
Good talk. Thanks, Doug.
Yep. We have an email. I'll just add it on to the end of this afterwards. It's this.
You can write to us at rekindlingourrbonds@gmail.com. That is rekindlingourbbonds@gmail.com.
If you guys want to chime in, tell us your favorite Bond movies. Tell us what you thought about Goldfinger. where we're at so far. If you're watching this for the first time, I don't mind like reading something out on air too, like opinions.
Heck yeah.
That sounds cool. I kind of am looking at this a little bit like a book club at this point of like, can I get my other friends to watch these Bond movies too?
Yeah.
So I think that'd be fun if I could get even just a couple people in on it. I think it'd be great, and if they could chime in. Yeah, that's where we're at. And I guess we'll see ya. Our podcast will return with Thunderball.
Heck yeah. In the near future. Thank y'all.
Bye.